For many people, renovation is a long, dusty, and tedious process. However, sometimes this quite unpleasant endeavor brings real surprises. Netizens share their findings, which were hidden under layers of wall decoration or old floorboards for many years. Most of the time, it turns out that people didn't even suspect that there were real treasures or creatures unknown to science living next to them. Young couple David and Deanna Gonzalez from Minnesota made their dream come true. They bought a house on Elbow Lake for $10,000. They hesitated a little before buying, as they were afraid that they would just waste their money by purchasing a house that can't be renovated. During the remodeling, they were once again fighting off doubts of whether they did the right thing when they bought this house. After all, it was so old that it seemed that it would collapse under the renovation hammer. The walls of this house were covered with newspapers for insulation. When the couple ripped them off, they found a comic book from 1938. As it turned out, this comic book was the first one ever to feature a new character, Superman, the one that's famous to this day. David realized that it must be valuable and offered to sell it. "I knew it was worth money," Gonzalez said, "but I had no idea how much." The Gonzalez couple sold the comic book at auction for $175,000. A woman from Louisiana, USA, suffered for a long time because of the noise that was coming from under her floorboards. She didn't know what to think. At first, the noise was barely audible, but it became simply unbearable with time, so the woman decided to seek help from professionals. Jeff Horkoff, a specialist in just this kind of strange phenomenon, came to the rescue. He put on a special suit and began to carefully take apart the floorboards. Lifting the floorboard, the man found thousands of giant creatures under it. There wasn't just one, but rather thousands of buzzing insects living clustered together under the floorboard. Jeff immediately realized that they were rather harmless. They were bees, and if handled correctly, they wouldn't harm a person, but instead could even be good for people since they make delicious honey. Bees are strange, but interesting creatures that like to settle in the most unusual places. Just look at how many honeycombs these little workaholics have already made. It turned out that the bees got inside through a gap in the floor. They liked the secluded place so much that they decided to make it their home. But eventually there were so many of them, the noise became too loud to ignore, especially at night. Jeff Horkoff said, "Bees operate as a close-knit community, in which each bee has a special task that is for the good of the group. Much like monastic life, the bees are devoted to their community and work together for a common goal. The reason I spend a lot of time searching for the queen is because she's the only bee in the hive that lays eggs. The queen can lay up to 2,000 eggs every single day. I spend so much energy looking for her because I don't want her to be harmed." Here's another story about insects. Two friends were dismantling part of the kitchen wall in a private house as part of their remodeling project. As they tore off one of the boards, they found the remains of a wasp's nest, which the insects must have abandoned for the winter. And the next story is about a very strange discovery. To this day, the scientific community hasn't been able to identify these mysterious creatures. A man named Tim Clerk from New Zealand received a call from his mother, who told him that she had found some strange insects in her kitchen, unlike any she knew. Of course, Tim couldn't ignore his mother's call and immediately went over to her place to help her deal with the unidentified creatures. When the man arrived at his mother's house, there were strange creatures on the kitchen floor, some of which were still moving. Tim couldn't figure out what they were, so he took some photos and made a video and then posted it all on his social network page. Unfortunately, his followers were also unable to help Tim because no one had any idea what kind of strange creatures they were. After reviewing photos and videos, the scientists from the University of Auckland stated that they were most likely fake. However, some experts believe that this could be some kind of new type of long-tailed worms. A young couple bought a house and decided to renovate the kitchen floor sometime later. After dismantling the old floor, they saw something unexpected. There was a safe with a mechanical combination lock under the floor. The couple said that the house had 6 other owners before them. Judging by its looks, the safe was under the floor for a very long time. Also, about 2 months before they discovered the safe, the woman was cleaning the house and found a random note which apparently had the lock combination written on it. The couple immediately realized that it was for this safe. They had to use force to open it. They only managed to open it at the 3rd try. Inside the safe were 8 stacks of $100 bills. When they counted all the bills, it turned out that there was $51,000 in the safe. There was also a bottle of whiskey there, aged 6 years, and with the tax stamp saying 1960. How do you like these finds? Luke Irwin is a carpet designer based in London. He lived in a private house and decided to equip his barn to play ping pong with his son. He hired workers to run electrical cables under the yard. As they were working, they found an intricate mosaic floor. Irwin called the city council and reported his find. Archaeologists said that the house was built over an ancient Roman villa dating back to 220 AD. There were also stone structures in the yard, where geraniums and flowers grew. As the archaeologists later determined, those were actually coffins. Insects must really enjoy living in the same house with people, or how else could you explain such finds? A couple living in Pinos Puente have complained about hearing a buzzing sound for a while. They even got used to it at some point. But then one summer day, the couple noticed several bees crawling into a hole in the wall. This gave them a clue as to what was making the mysterious noise. They brought in the experienced beekeeper Sergio Guerrero to confirm their suspicion. He examined the walls and concluded that the swarm had over 80,000 individuals. It took Guerrero dozens of hours to remove the bees from the wall and release them into the wild. And that's all for today, friends. What do you think about the discoveries from today's episode? Have you ever found anything interesting or mysterious? Let us know in the comments. Like the video and share it with your friends.